Today, I'm going to be showing you the top 5 sound design tricks you need for techno in 2024. These are absolutely essential without being too trendy. I think these are also like definitely very timeless things that are just going to help your production forever once you learn them. I'm going to be using a few packs from my site, electronicsamples.com, to show you these tips today. The link to that's at the top of the description. It really is some of the best sounds in electronic music right now with all the current styles, so you can go and make whatever type of track you want. Links at the top of the description. Definitely check out my website, guys. It helps keep me going so I can keep bringing you guys new tutorials. And let's dive in. All right, so the first trick here is how you can make a kick shorter while still keeping the length of the kick, but like kind of just making it a bit tighter, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to find a kick. All right, let's take this one, right? So this one is, a little bit long, right? But we do still want to keep the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a low pass filter, which is already on by default inside of the simpler here. Bring it down, so now we're getting like that. Maybe bring it down even lower. Like that. And then we're going to get an envelope. And we're going to make the envelope short. Like, keep the sustain all the way down. You can bring it up a little bit depending on the sample and depending on what you want to do. But ultimately, really the name of the game is just playing with the decay time. And then we can bring the frequency up a little. Right? And then if you bring the decay down. As you can hear, it drastically changes the kick. So you can really get a lot of mileage out of your samples this way. Let's get another longer kick, like maybe this one, and just drop it in and check it out. It's like a whole different kick, right? So yeah, that's the first thing. I definitely recommend playing around with that. Just a lot of times I notice people want to make the kick shorter, so they just do something like this. And then maybe try to get the like fade out. But see, you don't get near the level of power. And this allows you to really keep the kick intact while still playing around with that. Alright, so that's the first tip. The next tip for sound design for techno is essentially distorting delay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the same kick and we're going to just put in quarter notes. They're going to be short because I'm going to take it and just turn it into a little click, right? So let's get that. And then we'll go up to 142 BPM. Okay, so we got that. Let's turn it up a little bit. And we're going to just make this really short. I'm going to get rid of the filter. And we're just trying to make a little click here. So this is where it's fine for it to be like a... Right? So we're going to take that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get delay. We're going to do 16th notes. Filter it a little bit, and then once we start distorting it, check out what happens. So as you can hear, it starts to really bring out like a whole new percussion here because you're just essentially just really oversaturating those delays and just creating like a bit of more movement. And then what's cool here is then you can even play with it, like maybe you duplicate the delay. And then the second one is like filtered a lot smaller and less wet. And it's on like that dotted eighth notes. And then you could even play with like, now we have an LFO, maybe just slowly bringing in the dry wet on the second one. Just like mapping that onto that, like so. And then set that to like a really, something like that. Let's do up. Right, so you can get a lot of sort of mileage out of this, and you can create a lot of cool little percussion. You could even go as far as to like, if we want to go in here, maybe map this to the filter on that second delay a little bit. Right, so there's a lot of ways to kind of turn this into percussion, all just from having that one kick just going. So yeah, using distorted delay is a really, really good sound design thing for techno. I mean, you can just do so much, and then you start to filter it a little, like we already got a high pass, a little low pass. And there you go. Now, the next tip here is going to be centered around the ride cymbal. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just grab a 909 ride out of here, and I'm going to show you how you can make it really wide. All right, let's do that. That's 707, but it'll work. So we're going to just put in this eighth notes techno pattern like so. And then what you can do, it's a bit flat, a bit down the center, right? Using Ableton's delay, since you can split the left and the right, what you can do is you can just make these really fast. Unsync them, or unlink them, I should say, and just put the second one really close. And there you go, you get some width. Now, this can open you up to some phase issues, and it can start to get a little bit awkward. You could probably hear that. It wasn't perfect phase. Another way that you could do this to solve this problem is have them linked and really fast, and then just turn on the ping pong setting. And there you go. You get that wide kind of stereo ride. Just play with the dry wet. And what this also does is you can hear it with that percussion, because this percussion is straight down the center. Here, when I turn on the delay and make it really stereo, it really like separates the two. It puts, like when you're mixing these tracks, having the ride kind of like behind everything is really good. And this is the way that you do that, is with the stereo width. If you were to do this on like a kick or something, it would just take away a lot of the punch, but because it's a ride, it works really well. Now, the next technique I want to show you for sound design in techno is actually going to be involving taking a loop and then tweaking it a little bit. So let's get like one of these. Right, so we have like one of these kinds of like rave loop sort of things. Let's get it in time real quick. But you can actually use these to build percussion. What you can do is you can get a filter and some distortion. And then if you start to play with a filter kind of like LFO, maybe setting it about like that. And you see how the distortion, but being like distorting that moving bandpass filter. It creates a whole new percussion loop here, especially if you start to do like this, like putting the filter LFO on like triplets and stuff. You know, like if we just bring in like some hard groove drums really quick, I think you'll see. Right? So it can create a really nice percussion loop to work with there. So just playing around with that, and then you can do different things in there. You know, you could have like, you could even start to do a little bit of delay, like either before. Or you could have the delay after the filter. You can even start to like really stack these up. Like maybe you got that going, but then on top of that you have like an eighth note sawed down low pass. You know, and then maybe some more distortion after that. Right, so this is a really great way to just take loops and make them your own. And it doesn't even have to be, like, this is already obviously very much a techno loop. This, like, I mean, it could be anything, you know? Like, let's just go in and grab, like, alright, we got that. Just like some percussion hitting. Let's get it in time real quick. Right, and then now we bring all the stuff in. Right, so it's like very quickly creating new percussion loops out of percussion. And you could even save this rack and use it over and over and just kind of have it. So definitely a great way to create sounds for techno. And then I think the last thing here is actually going to be more of a MIDI thing. It's going to be using MIDI to kind of create sound design. What we're going to do is we're going to make 3 tracks here. I'm going to go into my Ableton Essentials pack here, and we're going to grab some of these plucks. Let's grab that one. Let's grab this one. Cool, and then let's get this one. Alright, so we have 3 different sounds, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a polyrhythm where, like, one is going to have a MIDI clip, which is literally just this long. It's a quarter note and an 8th note, and then it's going to reset. So we'll do like a... like this, just keep it kind of simple, and then we'll end on like that note. Right, so we got that. Let's bring down some of the space and stuff. And then what we're going to do is, since it's a quarter note and an 8th note, right, it creates this really crazy hypnotic thing going. And then you can have multiple polyrhythms together. So you got this one, which is doing like that. This one is just going to go for 3 quarter notes, and then it's going to restart. So, and it's going to be like a slightly different pattern, you know? Like maybe that. Cool, so let's hear that one on its own now. Right, so you hear how these things start coming together and it kind of creates something new. And that's why I call it, even though this is MIDI, that's why I call this like sound design, is because it essentially is using the MIDI and multiple things together to design a new sound, right? So let's do like this one, and this one will be, this one's weird. It's 2 quarter notes and then an 8th note, right? So, you know, when you break it down to this level, you start to really be able to take these things apart. Cool. And then like this one, the other thing here is this one could be like kind of on its own time too. Like it could just be restart. You can leave space between the polyrhythm even. Right, and this builds a lot of tension too. You could just do a simple automations on these, and you could have like a very intense track going. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for this one, guys. That is how to, the top 5 sound design tips you need for techno for 2024 going into 2025. Telling you this stuff is really important. You can do a lot with these. I've been able to really navigate around production just basically by following these rules. I'll link the packs that I use in this video at the top of the description. Definitely make sure to go on my site, electronicsamples.com, and grab some of the best sounds in electronic music. They really are. I put a lot of love and care into making these sounds so that we can all make the best music of our lives. Thanks for the support, everybody. Every little bit helps, so I can keep bringing you guys new tutorials, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.